What's good, bro? We are back at it. We were getting a lot of messages. People are worried, like the Bird Joy podcast was not coming back, but we are back.
We are here.
We are back.
Rested, rejuvenated, ready to have some more Bird Joy with the homies out there. It's been a nice, beautiful summer, and man, we are so happy to have all of our bird homies with us, looking for that Bird Joy. We have a lovely autumn and winter upcoming, and so we hope to be right there with you.
Yeah, I figured, we let everybody know we were going to take summer off, like the later end of summer, beginning of fall off, so we can recharge the batteries and really kind of set ourselves up and plan what we thought season 2 should look like based off the feedback from the homies. And we got 12 episodes in. We did a whole episode. We did a whole season of the Bird Joy podcast, and I say this still today, bro, and I still can't believe we did it. Still can't believe we did it. I knew we could do it, and I knew it would be successful, but I still cannot believe that we actually did it in a whole season.
I know. We were just talking about podcasts that try to get started and don't quite get off the ground, and it's great that we were able to do that. In large part to you, homie, all that editing and setting everything up, I think this has been great. And it makes me even more excited for season 2, because we got kind of the hang of it. I think we have some amazing audience members out there, some bird nerd homies that are going to continue to contribute to the conversation as we go. And, the birds going to be there. The birds are plentiful. They're showing up all over the place, smooth build Anis or groove build Anis out in the Midwest somewhere. And I'm like, what is going on?
What is happening here?
It's vagrant season. So yeah, it's really exciting to be back here as the leaves are changing color. We're going to have some different stuff this season than we did last season, and it's going to be pretty exciting.
We laid the foundation in season 1 for what we hope to just be an incredible season 2 as we shift a little bit, right? The vision and the mission of the podcast, that's not changing, right? Our goal ultimately is to center joy, to center the bird joy about what we talk about. But we are shifting in the senses we really want to elevate more voices in the birding community, and especially voices in the birding community that we find, extremely influential, people that have inspired us, people that are working to inspire people all over the globe. So to be able to bring them here and center their voices for our audience, I'm really excited about that and taking that direction for season 2 and bringing on more guests, man. And talking to more people and bringing out the bird joy and the stories from those folks, man. I think that's what people should expect from season 2, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, although I love hearing your voice every episode, Dexter, we got to get some other homies in here, right? It's as much as we enjoy hanging out with each other, there's so many other voices and stories that not only we want you to hear, but we want to hear, right? It really will illuminate, I think, the fact that this community is big and it's growing and it's full of new birders. It's full of birders that are interested in allyship for those new birders, stories, and really, we talked about this. I was listening to some of the old episodes, right? And we talked about the fact that there's this through line of joy for the most experienced birder and the brand new birder, right? And they're both feeding off that through line. They may be doing different activities. One may be, chasing some vagrant bird that showed up from, Russia in their state. And another person may be going out to their local park and trying to find their first warbler, right? We want to connect those stories. And that's really the cool part, because there's really a never ending pool of amazing people, amazing birders, amazing humans. And we don't have to limit ourselves. We really don't, and it's kind of like walking into a candy store with 8 million flavors, so I'm excited for it, man. I've been thinking about it all summer. How's your summer been, man? Did you get some good birding in? What was it like? I was hot out here in Pennsylvania, so, I'm going to complain about that. But how was yours?
No, it was hot here too. It was kind of uncharacteristically hot for a long time here, but the summer was good. You mentioned people going out and seeing their first warblers, and I found joy, and I was watching a lot of, whether it's our members from the club or some of the homies from the socials, paying attention to these firsts. these first memories and these lifers and people experiencing some of these, what a lot of maybe more seasoned birders and people that have been doing this thing like you and I for many years, where maybe we fall into this, that's mundane. Right. That like, oh, you know, same old same. But like you and I, we try to break that habit of like, oh, no, it's not the same old same. This is still remarkably cool. But a lot of other people just like, oh, it's just this. Oh, it's just that. But like I find myself just being super excited watching all these people get some of their first warblers, getting some of their first lifers and those type of things. But I will say in the summer for me, some of the things that I really look forward to are we typically every summer as a club will visit the International Crane Foundation, which is really cool because it's located not even 30 minutes away from Madison in Baraboo, Wisconsin. And you can actually go to the International Crane Foundation and see all the crane species of the world in one place. Wow. So we've been going there for a couple years for this annual trip. And we usually do it in the middle, like late fall. We decided to do it like really early fall, late summer this year. And the weather was absolutely perfect. I would say for me, visiting that and like literally seeing all these amazing crane species, like I said, every crane species you can see in one place, right? Well, in Wisconsin, of all places. So shout out to the International Crane Foundation.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's your favorite one though? You need to tell me so I can Google.
Yeah, I would say it's hard, right? Like it's like when people are asking me all the time, what's your favorite bird? And I'm like, well, picking a favorite bird is like picking a favorite kid and I have 4. Yeah. Picking a favorite crane is like picking a favorite kid. They're like all these species are amazing. But if I had to pick one, I would have to say the blue crane, which is an absolutely just amazing crane that will like blow people's mind when you see the blue crane. It's typically a crane that you'll find in South Africa is his native range. But whoa, when you talk about just a cool bird.
This thing looks insane, bro. It looks like a crane combined with a peacock.
They are incredible.
Yeah, I can't wait to show people this on the old socials. But it's really got like a blue-gray color, kind of like a blue-gray gnatcatcher.
That blue,
with a white head,
good.
Like a really short bill too. Like not even.
Yeah, they are so unique looking.
Yeah, but these tail plumes though, that is fire. Look at that.
They're pretty ridiculous. So yeah, I encourage people.
All right, well, it looks like
if you're in Wisconsin,
trip to South Africa. I mean, we need to go, right?
Yeah, it's pretty wild to be able to just say, hey, this is the only place in the world that has all 15 species of cranes in one place.
That's amazing.
It's incredible. The work that they do all over the globe. I think that is also really cool. Like we've had this conversation before where no matter where people are, there's different birds, right? But like the joy is the same. Right. Yeah. They're seeing different birds and they're getting excited for the birds that we see. We're getting excited for the birds we see in our regions. And then when I look at what they're doing with the cranes, they're working with people in Asia and India and Africa and all these different continents where all these birds live. But that joy, that commonality, that cranes bring us together, bird joy brings us together. I found myself just like really relishing in that. And realizing like that common thread is the birds, no matter what the species, it don't matter. That common thread is the birds and the bird joy. Wow. That's one of my favorite memories from the summer.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. And it's got to be cool because people can go in and they can get a glimpse of other parts of the world through these birds that come from those places, right? And it's I love it, right? It's like,
what about you, man? I know you've been busy. You know, obviously we stay in contact and we're texting and we're checking in on it. Like, you've been busy this summer, man.
You know, we've been trying to do some stuff, man. Some big trips. You know, we've had some summer birding trips that have been amazing. You know, we kind of play that by ear. We've been kind of in a little bit of I call it a drought out here. Our normal mud flats and stuff weren't necessarily great. They kind of dried up really, really bad in some spots. But we did have a couple of parks and refuges that tried to manage it to, keep the birds good. But I did a lot of birding by myself. Obviously, with In Color Birding, we had a ton of events. some of our most memorable. We brought Nicole Jackson over to celebrate Black in National Parks Week at the end of August. So she came out to hang out with us at Valley Forge National Historical Park. That was great. It took a trolley ride around and kind of learned about what it means to have access to that space. And we were welcomed by the Valley Forge Park Alliance. So that was awesome. I wasn't able to be there because I was in California for my dad's birthday, but we did some more conservation work. So I don't know if you guys have a thing out there around bird collisions in the cities at night. So, it's like Lights Out Philly is a big thing here. And we have an organization called Bird Safe Philly that they go monitor every morning at 5:30, for 2.5 hours. And it's some mornings there's no birds, some mornings there's a lot, and it's really sad. But what they do is collect the data, and then they provide that data to the institutions that have the big windows with the lights on. And they say, hey, homie, like maybe cut them suckers off during migration season. So we did that. And, it was an absolutely fantastic summer in terms of birding. I also had a lot of new people that came to bird. So just yesterday, I was at a place called Stinton Museum, which is the oldest historic house, I think, in Philadelphia, once inhabited by a slaver, and that person's enslaved peoples and was able to be preserved over time. But it's like this little secret garden pocket in the middle of like North Philly. And all got there and we're like walking around, and it's, it was like 20 people and half of them were brand new birders. Right. And I don't know what it is, like which bird is going to cause people to freak out the most, but the yellow-bellied sapsucker got him. It got him. It flew in and it hit this tree, and it, it's kind of pecking on the tree and, making its way around, and people, they get that first view with the binoculars and they're freaking out. And then as they kind of panned out with their own vision, they realized the whole tree, big, like, I think it was an ash tree, covered in those horizontal lines from the holes from the yellow-bellied sapsucker looking for sap and bugs, right? And, people were just blown away because there were some people that worked there that they were like, I've never even noticed that. They saw their first brown thrasher, Eastern towhee, and so I think I put a video on our Instagram story of I took a video of people just oohing and ahhing, and you talked about birds where, people are like, oh, it's just this or it's just that. It's not just anything. When you watch people react to it, there was a young lady there named Phoebe, and she didn't realize there was something called an Eastern Phoebe. So when I was like, hey, look above your head.
That's awesome.
You see that bird up there, shaking his tail feather. And her and her mom and her brother were just tickled by that. Like, they thought that was the coolest thing. And I was like, wait till you see like the black Phoebe out west and like all these other ones. Like, so like that kind of stuff is what keeps me going through I didn't chase any really like, long birds where I'm like going to try to find some weird vagrant. I got a homie out here though, Jason Feehan, his yard, Dexter. His yard, it's a normal suburban yard, but he plants a lot of natives. In the spring, homie had a Townsend's warbler in his trees. And then we get a text a couple weeks ago, hey, I have a black-throated gray warbler in my tree. Right? And I'm like, dude, what is going on in you? Like, it's not like, it's not like a big palatial estate. It's a beautiful suburban neighborhood, and his yard is immaculate with all these kind of natives and water features. And
I rolled over there. Probably helping too.
I rolled over there, man. It was like 44 minutes on a Thursday afternoon or something, and the homie's just sitting in the cedar tree, just putzing around. Like it's nothing. Like it's not a big deal. And that was the only kind of big chase I think I did this summer for a bird. We had a Kirtland's warbler out west, but I wasn't about to hit that 5-hour drive for a Kirtland's warbler. Like Kirtland's warbler for me is something that I wanted to come to me in kind of my own way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And even if that means I take a trip to either its breeding grounds or its wintering grounds in the islands, right? And I see it there. But there's some birds, and I was talking to one of our good friends, Christian Cooper, about this when he was down here a few weeks ago, that, there's some birds I don't want to chase because I want my first sighting of that bird to be, I guess, a little bit more natural, where either I find it or it's found by a friend in that moment by chance, right? I'm surrounded by amazing birders out here, so it wouldn't be surprising to be with one of them. That ID's one of those. There's just something like that. But like it was a good summer, man, full of community, full of some fun birds. But once we hit that humidity in August, I was out. I was like, I'm ready for the leaves to change color. I don't,
there's something about that fall birding, that late summer. Another event that we had late summer that I really get into, and is our Swift Night Out events. So every year we do a Swift Night Out event where we team up with the local Feminist Bird Club chapter. We team up with the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance, Save Our Songbirds, another nonprofit. But this year we did a Swift Night Out week. Right,
oh, wow.
Where we had our main big event where all of us kind of meet up on one day, but we were going out every day for a week, and we were scouting all these various chimneys throughout the city. Shout out to our planning committee, our Madison coordinator, Sean Radcliffe, co-founder, Jeff Galligan, Brenna from the Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance, Caitlin from the Feminist Bird Club. We put together just this. It feels like it's a concert, you know, like the Swifts are like this. It's like Swifties, like real life Swifties, you know, because we like pulling up deep. You're talking hundreds of people. We tell people to bring their lawn chairs, bring a meal, bring your blankets. I mean, I talk about community just sprawled out. So you got all the BIPOC folks, all the other organizations. We all there together. I'm talking hundreds of people sprawled out in this huge soccer field. And there's like, what's so cool is the chimney is right. Like it's this old middle school, and it's Cherokee Middle School, my old middle school, which was kind of cool to go back to my old school with this different view, you know, of like when I went to school here, I wasn't paying attention to whether or not chimney swifts lived in our big old chimney at the school. You know what I mean?
Many of us won't.
So here I am back, right? Returning back to this place. And I was just so jacked up because like I said, we had been scouting. So we knew there were a lot of chimney swifts there. We knew that they were about to put on a show. And for so many people, it was the first time. My mom got to make it for the first time. My sister came for the first time. My nephew came for the first time. This is some of those firsts I was talking about this summer where I was seeing people experiencing birds and bird joy in a way, right? And in some of these are people I love to death. My sister, my nephew, they finally make it out and they make it to the Swift Night Out. That was the first event in the summer and the first event that they've been able to attend. And I was like, of any of the events we do, I'm so happy that you're attending this one because this is about to be crazy. And I was like, just watch. I was like, it's like a real life fireworks show, but it's birds. You know what I mean? Like the grand finale. We got the Swift NATO going and stuff. And like that night, bro, they start coming in and like you see like 10, 20, 30. And then like you start hearing them and they're kind of swooping in a little more and more and more. Next thing you know, it's a couple hundred. And people are like, whoa, what is going on, right? And they keep coming and they keep coming and they keep coming. You know, they look like flying cigars as they're flying through the air. And it's so cool. And before you know it, they're just kind of circling the field, right? As they're out, you know, they're getting their last bugs for the night. And like all of a sudden they keep coming. They keep coming. The noise is getting more and more. Bro, by the end of the night, over 1,300 Swifts show up. Wow. Right. And they create that Swift NATO and they start going into the chimney. And like every year I always I told you, it feels like it's the grand finale. And I'm like, go, 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 go. And then like, imagine hundreds of people doing the same thing because like I'm jacked up. We're just nerding out and everybody's like cheering them on. And like, it was so cool because like the kids start picking a Swift and they're like, that one's mine. No, that one's mine. That one's mine. And they're trying to like track their Swift to see if it goes in the chimney. Bro, it was so cool. It was so fun. And I remember just all those amazing conversations that I was having with people that had never seen a Swift, let alone see 1,300 of them come in to roost that night. But then to be able to have that conversation with them and tell them how they never land, right? Like they're on the wing all day hunting for food and they don't stop until they go inside that little chimney and do their little
their little Spider-Man impersonation. Yes, right on there, you know?
And just having those conversations, like that meant the world, right? Like it was just so fun. We're handing out free butterfly milkweed and stuff like that. So like we just had this amazing time with the Chimney Swift, the working group here in Madison that does all this amazing group to not only find potential chimneys that, you know, you can talk to owners about if they're not using them or anything and make them aware of the opportunity that that, hey, this could be a home for some amazing birds if you want it to be.
Yeah, while they're on
so
their
they're
journey.
doing they're doing that type of work. Also trying to preserve snags. You know, I say this a lot of times in some of my You Ready, Let's Go videos. Those snags in your yards are potential homes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't think about them like that. So
yeah.
On the soapbox right now, preserve the snags if you can. Like, I understand, might not look super pretty, but if you have them and it's not a risk to your home or anything like that, leave them up. You know, let nature take its course.
And I find that people see snags differently once they see how they're used. Like, they may think, oh man, that's an eyesore. That tree that came down, you know, during the hurricane a couple of years ago, it's hollow on the inside and it's about half as tall and it's just lost all the bark. And they might think it look ugly until they see a woodpecker and some babies come out of that joint, right?
Yeah.
Or they see chimney swifts go down, and then they're like, oh wow, this is important. This is not, you know, my yard doesn't need to be manicured for humans. It needs to be maintained for nature.
Yes.
And there's no better way, I think, you know, there's no better way to do that than being able to expose them to the fact that not only do these swifts before humans came along, that's what they used, right? They used the snags that were hollowed out. And so our chimneys can serve the same purpose, right? And so since we're occupying the same space, why not? You know, if we can do it safely and provide some safe habitat for the homies on their way down. And it's wild to me that they fly all day. And then they got like 50 people in Madison, Wisconsin rooting for them to go to bed. Like, that's literally what you guys are doing. Right?
It was like, bro, it was like 200 something, 300 people.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Right.
Yeah, it was nuts. I'm sure people was driving by like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, why are all these people looking here just staring at this chimney? You know? Like, I could just imagine what people driving by are thinking. You know, especially if they're driving by when everybody's doing the Arsenio Hall joint, you know, right? We were just going crazy, you know. So I know the neighborhood folks. We had people from the neighborhood actually coming over. This was actually really cool. And they were like, "What's happening?" This one woman asked me, she was like, what's going on here? She's like, I literally live down the street. And then that led to her asking me, do you think I could see them coming out of the chimney in the morning? And I was like, you know what? I've never done that. I was like,
you tell her to go check it out. Check it out and report back.
You should try it. I said, you should try it and let me know. Because usually I just, you know, I've never thought about seeing them come out in the morning if it's the same as coming home at night. I have no clue. I told her that. I said, I don't know, but it'd be pretty cool to see. You know, are there some early risers to just be like, all right, I'm out of here. Then a couple more. Like, is it like kind of more staged? You know, it'd be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I wonder if they like come out and circle around to make sure they got everybody before they roll, you know, the same way they do before they go in, you know, I wonder. But that's another reason to get out there and see what's what, you know, that's absolutely beautiful, man. We did that in Philly. It wasn't In Color Birding. It was a couple of our other homies at Philly Queer Birders and Feminist Bird Club Philly, and I think an organization called Bird Philly. And they had it was either old school or a church downtown, right? And they did the same thing. They figured out where they were going to be. And I saw a video and it would look like a protest. It was a bunch of bird homies just lining this historic Philly street, staring up at this chimney, and people were cheering. They were oohs and ahs. You know, I wasn't able to be there, but like, that's one of those pivotal moments for people that helps them connect to the nature around them, right? And the perseverance of these birds that you can say, man, they can fly all day and eat. They have that kind of stamina. But darn it, if they don't need us to keep a clean chimney for them so they can have somewhere to rest the next day. Like, that's our opportunity to contribute, right? And it makes me feel so good that there's people out there, both in Philly and Madison, that are paying attention to that. And there's tons more groups over the country, I know. Even the West Coast homies with are they Vaux's Swifts or Vaux Swifts? I don't know how they say it, VAUX. I remember seeing a story a couple of years ago that this lady didn't know, you know, that swifts were migrating or whatever. And she came downstairs one day and she had like tens of thousands of swifts in her living room that like came down her chimney. And I don't know if she just didn't have a chimney flume or what, but like, I'm going to have to find it and put it in the show notes. But it was just wild to think about, right? Like, you come downstairs and all these birds in your house. But that was that family's notification of their role, their potential role in this. So, you know, yeah, swifts are awesome, man. Swifts are awesome. We're getting ready to do a trip to, we're going to meet up with the formerly DC Audubon, now DC Bird Alliance. We're going to meet up with them down in Cape Henlope in Delaware. next weekend. And, it'll be our first trip
Power
down
of
there.
collaboration. We
Yeah,
talked
man.
about that at season
Yeah,
one.
our homie Taiki used to be involved with them, and now we're working with Maria. And then we went up to New York and met homies up there. Now we're going down to Delaware to meet the homies from DC, and it's going to be really beautiful. The birds that come down through Cape May, when they come across the bay from New Jersey into Delaware, Cape Henlopen is where they hit. It'll have probably some migrating birds that are resting after they come over the water. Maybe there's a big hawk watch there, and then we're going to take a little boat ride. So I'm looking forward to people seeing their first northern gannet, maybe a brown booby or two.
That's a bird. I would love to see one just bro, hit the water and snatch something, bro.
Yeah, if you come out here, let me know, because they're like little. They're not little. They're big.
They're like missiles.
Yes, they're like heat-seeking missiles, and they don't slow down before they hit the water. It's crazy, like how an osprey will like kick the legs forward, or an eagle will slow down and hover and grab stuff. This thing is like head first heat-seeking missile. And if you ever YouTube the videos of them, when like 50 to 100 of them are diving down on the same school of fish and they all hit the water at the same time.
That's nuts. How do they avoid each other?
I don't know, man. But the people that do the videos from underwater, when you see them coming in the water, how are they those birds are gangster, and they hang out.
Like they shouldn't even be in the water.
No,
they shouldn't be in the water.
It's wild because when you go out on these schools of fish, they stand no chance. Between the whales, the dolphin species we have out here, and these northern gannets and gulls, these schools of fish stand zero chance. So so hopefully folks get to see some of that. But yeah, after that, we're kind of looking into finishing up migration season, catching any late migrants. I would love to see a golden eagle come through Philadelphia. They come through out in Allegheny County. I think they come through down a mountain ridge out there, which is further west from me, but in like November, which would be pretty cold. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, is like just slowing down a little bit with some of these big migration pieces, and then be able to hit, my favorite weird duck season and gull season. I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to ID some gulls. I might drive up somewhere further north near the Great Lakes to see some gulls that I wouldn't normally see.
Yeah, you mentioned fall migration kind of wrapping up. The warbler migration, like the mass warbler migration, that's been over for a little bit. We still got like some butterbutts chilling and some palm warblers and some of the warbler species hanging around. But then we have just like mass amounts of kinglets. So the ruby crown kinglets and stuff coming through. So we're seeing a lot of them right now.
They're trying fast. To see them at least. Yeah, trying to see them.
Yeah, they're really fast. It's little brown bird season. So they all the leaves are starting to turn a little bit. So their plumage is matching in with the little leaves. They're still hard to see because everything hasn't started falling quite yet. So we are seeing that start to happen. I started seeing some rafts of coots rolling through. So that's letting me know that some of those waterfowl about to start rolling through. I start seeing the coots coming in bigger numbers. I'm like, okay, we're duck season now. Over the next few months, the next month and a half or so should be good for us. Probably get some loons. Like you said, the gulls start coming through. But yeah, really looking forward for that. I know this time of year too is hard for some folks too, because they go through that, we're talking about some of the first, they go through that first spring where they're seeing all these colorful birds, the warblers and everything. And then just a couple months later, they come back and they all look different. Yeah, that's got to be frustrating for people.
It is. It certainly is. It certainly is. And I have to warn people, if we're at an outing where we do have fall warblers and their fall plumage, like relax, deep breath. I tell people sometimes just identify one, right? Just work on one. There'll be probably a large number of fall plumage, common yellow throats where we are. And we'll get a lot of palm warblers coming back through. I tell them it's just another puzzle, right? It's just another, you do what you can, right? You take a couple pictures, you got to go home and ID them, right? And we had one of my great friends, Louisa, we had a little sit where we hang out with Philly Queer Birders and Feminist Bird Club Philly and Center Online accessible birding folks and PA Disability Pride. And she had a picture of this vireo, right? And she was showing me on the back of her camera and I was like, I don't know, maybe it's a red-eye vireo. It was kind of stuck in between some stuff. And she comes and posted online and one of our board members, Jeff Kinney, was like, oh yeah, that's a Philly vireo, which is probably the most rare vireo that we get around here. So she was geeking out, right? Because she's just out there taking pictures, learning in the fall, right? It's not, perfect situation. The bird's in like the thicket. And, the fact that she got that at an event where we wanted people just to chill and let the birds come to us at this arboretum here named Morris Arboretum was really great. So, that stuff can continue in the winter. You just have to find ways for people to access it. Right. And realize, you may not have a lot of songbirds, but got a better chance to see a pileated woodpecker. You can see some weird bufflehead, right? And see the universe's version of a Beanie Baby on water, right? You can go see these things. You can see some really cool raptors, but it's cold. I look forward to try and give people some ideas as we get through this season too, around ways to really enjoy the upcoming, the rest of the fall and into winter. Like, it does not need to be boring. There's so much fun stuff out there. And eventually we'll get to an episode on gulls, right? But we got to find the right guests.
Yes.
And it'll be an episode about, I'm already naming it. It's going to be called Gull Joy, right? We're going to co-op Bird Joy, and it's going to be Gull Joy, because I consider myself a novice at Gull ID. And so I love talking with people who are just so much more experienced with it, because they do make it sound fun, because for them it is a big puzzle. So we're going to do a lot of that this season. We're going to do a lot of trying to uncover the joy.
Enthusiastic novice.
Yes.
At Gull ID. But that's kind of part of what we want to do this season. We want to talk about the science of migration and be able to look at some bird migration patterns and talk to and guests that can explain migration research and go a little bit deeper for our audience. We want to talk about advanced bird identification techniques. How can you ID these little LBBs, the little brown birds and the gulls that come through? So bringing on guest experts on bird calls and songs and technology that can help enhance and all that good stuff. So another plug on what people can expect this season is more on stuff like that, and bringing on folks that can offer a different perspective than either you and I can on the subject.
Yeah, because we're going to bring the joy. We're going to bring the enthusiasm. And there, like we said at the beginning, there's a ton of experts out there that can talk to us about urban birding. They can talk to us about travel for birding, photography, videography, climate change, right? And birding and climate change. There's some really, really awesome homies that we know doing some research that can come speak to that. And so, you ask yourself, as you're talking about maybe some of these things from a conservation perspective, how do you find joy in studying the effect of climate change on birds, right? It can probably be a pretty tough thing to see. And so I would love to hear from those scientists, those researchers, those bird nerd homies that are out there actually collecting that data and observing this stuff. Like, how do they keep their chin up, right? What can we be doing to help, right? And so really looking forward to all of those voices, because like you said, it all leads back to the joy, right? And that's going to be the sustaining factor of this community, I think, and hopefully the sustaining factor that helps the birds in the long run. So.
Yes, sir. Also, you know what time it is, what season it is right now. It's sparrow season.
It is.
The sparrow's starting to roll through. So I don't know about you. We've been getting the white-throated sparrows, the white-crowned sparrows. We've had some Nelsons rolling through, some Lincolns.
What's your number one? What's your number one sparrow? Ooh, LeConte's is nice.
Number one.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's hard to pick one. But I love the white crown sparrow, especially the adults. They just look incredible.
They are tanks too, man. They're big.
Huge fan of the fox sparrow as well.
Chunky.
Yeah. I love sparrows. I love sparrow season. They're just, they're so fun. They're so fun.
They are. And the more you look at them, the more you get to kind of understand how different they actually are, right? You think it's just a little brown joint on them, but as you look closer, you're like, oh man, the actual difference between a white crown sparrow and a white throated sparrow is pretty stark.
There's a lot of people
confuse those, and then like a Nelson's sparrow and a salt marsh sparrow. The Lincoln sparrow I love because I like to imagine somebody drew those little pinstripes on the front of them with a little charcoal pencil. Too. I know they're little, right?
They're little too. So like some of them are big. I mean, even like the little clay colored sparrows, also a little small.
That's my number one, bro. That's my number one.
Yeah. So I saw one of those. So I always tell people, if you have a community garden around you, Go to that local community gardens and the sparrows will be there in just numbers. They love community gardens. So this in the late, early fall, like this is like the perfect time to go to your local community gardens. You're still seeing all those beautiful flowers. You're seeing all these things that are still blooming. It is just gorgeous and the birds love it.
They do. And people don't realize this all the time. We were at the Stinton Museum yesterday here in Philadelphia, and they had a lot of their leaves that had fallen and they had just strewn them about their garden, right? It's like almost like a mulch. And people were so blown away that there was, just tons of white-throated sparrows in there. And then they saw the eastern towhees kicking up leaves, right? And I was like, I guarantee you there's going to be some fox sparrows in here in the fall. And the groundskeeper there is maintaining that space to try and make it a little haven within the city for these sparrows, these birds, these woodpeckers. And they're doing a great job because I was like, trust me, you wouldn't have eastern towhees here in your garden in the middle of North Philly had you not put those leaves down like that.
That's another one similar to the snags. Leave those leaves. I mean, yes, from the fireflies to butterflies to larvae, everybody that needs to leave something on the leaves need the leaves. So the leaves literally lead to life. So please leave the leaves too.
That's awesome, man.
Another soapbox issue.
We got time. We got time. This is just season 2. We got to pace ourselves.
We got time today. This is episode 1 of season 2 of the Bird Joy podcast. We are back, folks. I know maybe I got that noise in my repertoire when I edit it later. We'll see. I kind of like the human one.
Hey,
do it again. Do it again.
I don't do it better as some of our other friends, but But it's exciting, man. This has been fun to kick off the new season, man. I can't wait for the rest of the episodes and for the homies to kind of get re-engaged with them a little bit. I apologize for folks. They haven't got enough Bird Joy on social media, but we coming. We're there.
We coming.
We'll be there soon.
Yeah, man.
Right?
We got some big guests, starting even next week. You see what we got for you next week. But yeah, we got some of the homies coming through. We're super excited. It feels good to be back.
Yes, sir.
It feels good to be back. Well, folks, I want to thank you all for joining us today on the first episode of season 2 of the Bird Joy podcast. We hope you enjoyed exploring the world of birding with us today. Shout out to my BIPOC flock and all my folks from the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin. We are going to be busy this fall and winter, so make sure you go to BIPOCbirdingclub.org to see what we got going on.
Yes. And shout out to all the homies here in Philly with In Color Birding Club and all of our affiliate organizations, incolorbirding.org. And, we'll see you homies next time with some guests and some more Bird Joy.
Yes. Please share, subscribe, and shout out the podcast to all your fellow birders and your friends. Help us spread a little bit of bird joy.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right. See you next week.